Hello, Harigaru.
Hi, Sagar.
Yeah, I I want to know about so-called time management. Everybody
Right.
say like time management, how you should be able to manage your time. But every day, you know,
Hmm.
it's very difficult to, something is left
Right.
unfinished at the end of the day.
Right.
So, can you give me some insight into time management? How can I?
Right. So when we say time management, what we basically saying is that we're not able to get things done.
Yeah.
What's important to me, I'm not able to get done,
Mm,
and time's going by and
mm,
nothing is getting done to my
yeah.
satisfaction. That's what
Mm,
we're trying to say. That I don't have enough time to do
mm,
things. Right. So we will look at how to get things done. We'll
mm,
just rephrase or reframe the question and say, how do I get things done? Things which are important to me,
mm,
right? So there are, in fact, all productivity techniques and principles, whether it is Stephen Covey's first things first, or Ivy Lee's method, or the big rocks method, whatever you call it. I mean, you've seen so many of them. All of them talk about only one thing, and this is something which is, well, the moment we understand this, a lot of work gets done. So let's consider the big rocks theory. Right? You must have seen that experiment that they show,
mm.
where in a jar they give you certain big rocks, and they give you certain pebbles, then give you sand, and then they give you water. And say, can you fill these
Is
up?
it full?
Can you? How can you fill up this jar?
Mm,
Right? And anyone who puts the sand in first or the pebbles in first finds that it's difficult to fill up the jar to the full. Right?
mm,
What they finally find is that the big rocks have to go in first, and then the rest of them will adjust to the big rocks, because the big rocks there'll be gaps. In the
mm,
gaps, sand can go, water can go, right? But if you put up these things first, there are a lot of gaps which are left not filled up,
mm.
right? So the big rocks in your life are what are important to you, what are your priority items, and these have to be done first,
Okay.
which is what Stephen Covey says: first things first. What is important to you? So when you get up in the day and you say, what's important to me, what's the most important thing to me in my life, right? Like I said, for me it's right now writing a book, right? So I need to get down and start writing the book. 1 hour, 2 hours, the first 2 hours in my life, in my day, have to go towards writing my book,
Mm,
right? But if I start off doing everything else, writing my book becomes
mm,
least priority. So let's say I go out to meet somebody, let's say I start working on something, I do some exercise or whatever, or listen to music. By the time I actually get down to writing my book, which is supposedly the most important thing to me in my life, time's gone, right? So Stephen Covey looks at differently. It's a very interesting thing. He
mm,
says there are things in your life which are urgent, there are things in your life which are important, right? And many times the urgent things come. A lot of people are constantly doing urgent things,
mm,
right? So you don't have time because you're constantly fighting. And when you have too many urgent things, it means your planning or your how you have dealt with important things has not happened. Now, what are important things according to Stephen Covey is anything that's long term. So you plan for your systems, you plan for every eventuality, and do something about it right now so they don't become urgent tomorrow.
mm,
Right? You plan. So you take time out to plan every day, right? Which is important. And if you do this important thing every day, you won't have as many urgent things to do.
mm,
You get what I'm saying? You actually get a lot of work done,
mm,
right?
mm,
So what he says is, and of course, in a day, if you're not clear about our priorities, you do a lot of things which are not important. Like there's lot of time goes on your phone, talking to people or all kinds of stuff, and you realize you don't have time to do the important things, right?
mm,
So you should minimize what is not important. You should reduce, right?
mm,
Also, what is what we say urgent stuff.
mm,
What's not important, minimize. What's urgent, kind of reduce. Bring them down,
mm,
and focus a lot more on what is important. Now, when we say this, what we're saying is every day if I write for an hour or 2 hours, if I write my book, right, I'm actually getting a lot of work done by the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is there's nothing to show except that I've done 2 hours of work. So, because I can't see a result in important things, so if I want to build a house, I have to do it one part every day, right? I can't expect the house to come up today evening.
Correct.
But it's very easy to talk about it or be engaged in some other place, which could be urgent or which could be not very important. My house will never get built. Similarly, my book will never get written, right? If you go to the third one, Ivy Lee method. So basically, it's very simple. What he says is pick 6 things that you have to do tomorrow, right, to manage your time better. Write down 6 things in the order of importance. What is most important? To me, writing a book is most important. So that becomes number one. Number two, what is next most important? Okay, contacting a publisher or an agent, right? Whatever. So 6 most important things to do tomorrow. Write them down in the order of importance, right? Not in order of urgency.
Okay.
And then when you wake up tomorrow, do them in exactly the same order. So when I wake up, I do my first 2 hours goes to my book, then goes to the next one, then the next one. So I have to go exactly in the same order. Now imagine if I start with my book, which is the most important thing, how much work gets done in a month, right? But instead, if I juggle the order and I do what is something else, I get lost in it and nothing gets achieved. So end of the day, what we're saying, very simply, time management or getting things done is all about doing what is important, what is priority to you. So be clear about what your priorities are. Get them done first. Then you move to other less important items.
Okay.
Right? That's it.
Okay.
Time management is all about that. Prioritizing, working on them first, and that's it. You get it done.
Super, Hari garu.
Right, Sagar. Thank you.